What is up, everybody? My name is Aaron Knoll. I am not Batman. I am the host of Movie Battleground. I'm going to take my hat out of this very uncomfortable position because I just wanted to make the point of why we are here tonight. As this is airing at this time, the first screenings nationwide are airing for the new film, The Batman, directed by Matt Reeves, starring Robert Pattinson, Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, and many, many other great talents. And because of this hopefully incredible film. I don't know. For all I know, it's got like a 30 on Rotten Tomatoes, but I'm hoping not. We are here to do a DC exhibition match. We are going to be talking about all things DC. We do have some Batman in there, but it is all things DC tonight. As you guys saw in the previously posted wheel spin video, I took everybody who signed up. Thank you to everybody who did sign up. I do appreciate that you guys see the posts and do want to try and get involved. And not only do I have three great competitors who took their places here tonight, but I also have four great judges behind the scenes, all of whom were in that spin. Unfortunately, they didn't quite come up as competitors, but they are here with us tonight to still talk about and celebrate some DC. So let's go ahead, not waste any more time, and get into it. Introducing first of our three competitors, he is the only one here tonight making his overall movie Battleground debut. His normal nickname sounds like a category search on Pornhub, but tonight he is going by the Riddler. He is Ryan Payne. Ryan, I apologize for that joke. That was disrespectful, but how are you doing, sir?
No, that's completely fine. I mean, what better way to get myself back in the debate format and to dip my toe back in than to do, a three-way format here. In a three-way match, a triple threat, as I should say. And I'm looking forward to this. I was so heavy into doing the debates with Team G in the past, came close in a couple of different formats and divisions, but I'm figuring I'm doing this for the fun of it now. And I can't think of a better way to get back in the fun of it than talking about Batman. Or at least DC in general. Sorry, I just saw your hat. I'm like, this is a Batman-centric debate.
There will be some Batman later in the show, folks, but we're talking about DC. Ryan, I'm very happy to have you here, man. As somebody who's been around TMG for a long time, I'm glad to have you in here, sir. I will send you to the back and bring in your next opponent, coming in with a previous exhibition record of 0-1 with a strong performance in the Wizarding World match. He has a competitive record of 0 wins, 3 defeats. He is Chris Diaz. Chris, welcome back to the Battleground, sir. This is your second time being spun into an exhibition match, which, and for the sake of fairness, might mean it's the last time you'll play one for a little bit, but that's for afterwards. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm here to have fun. I love DC, and it's been a fun question. I respect both of my competitors. Here to have fun. Usually I have to just about relax and argue about movies and stuff that I actually do enjoy arguing about.
Absolutely. Well, it won't mean shit for your record, but it will do a lot for your confidence to get a first win tonight. And I look forward to seeing you perform, sir, because you were great in that Wizarding World match. I'm going to send you to the back as I bring in the third and final competitor of this match, entering with a competitive record of 1 win, 2 defeats. This is his exhibition debut. He is Austin Pez Howell. Austin, welcome back to the Battleground, sir. How are you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic. I treat exhibitions like Ivan Drago treats exhibitions, and if that means anything for my other competitors, it's going to get ugly. I hope they're ready to dance with the devil by the pale moonlight.
I saw Ivan Drago's son. He fought Michael B. Jordan pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to go ahead and bring back in the competitors. That was awkward. That's like the walk of shame of debate right there. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into it. You guys know the rules. The questions were given to the competitors ahead of time. They have 3 questions tonight. One of them is a speed round question, but we'll get there when we get there. The rules work the same as a normal debate. 1 minute opening, 2 minute expansion. We're going to go to a 5-minute open discussion simply because we have an extra person. Extra minute only makes it fair to give more speaking time. And then they will get 1 minute to close. At that point, I do have 4 great judges in the background in JD, Kevin, Alex, and Joe. They will come in a rotational order and make the decisions for the rounds. With that said, do any of you guys have a question for me, or are we ready to get going?
No question. Unless there's a question I had, it's kind of too late. We're live at this point regarding regarding my answers. But other than that, I'm good.
Yeah, just do your best. Stick with it and see what happens. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into it. And while this is a DC debate happening in honor of Batman, it would be remiss to not bring up Batman's DC brother in Superman. And while I think it's fair to say that Batman has had his fair share of successful franchises, Superman's just never really quite gotten there. The Salkins ran the Reeve series into the ground, and a Supergirl spinoff by the end. Superman Returns was able to lift everything except for its box office numbers. And unfortunately, while it does have his supporters, the Zack Snyder universe has kind of petered out in and of itself to the point where we have like 3 different Superman things in development, none of which I think are Henry Cavill, and it's a whole weird thing. What Superman needs, though, is it needs a vision, and it needs someone who can get it back on track. So the question here is, what director who's never made a Superman film needs to direct one? Now, in terms of the context for these guys' answers, just so that judges and everyone at home are aware, I've told them they can take it in any direction. They can bring back Henry Cavill. They can pitch their own original film. However they choose to handle that aspect of the question is how they handle it. But the focus is more on why the director needs to direct a Superman film. But with that said, prior to the match, it was assigned who would go first on what question. And on question number 1, Austin, you will be going first. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the old classic timer because we still don't have a new one because I just haven't sent an email yet. That's really all it is. This is my fault once again, ladies and gentlemen, as is the norm around here. But we do have our nice old timer sponsored by Kenneth Branagh's Death on the Nile, a movie that is floundering at the box office and probably won't be helped by the Batman's release. But with that said, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Austin, you do have 1 minute on the clock. I will disappear, and it will start ticking when you begin speaking.
If you want to reboot Superman or start fresh from scratch, you need a director that has a vision, a director that can stick the landing, a director that knows how to set up a great story, and a director that's both dabbled in non-comic book films and excelled in comic book films. And my pick for the director of a new Superman movie would be none other than Matthew Vaughn, the director of Layer Cake, the director of Stardust, and of course a 3-movie incredible streak of films with X-Men First Class, Kick-Ass, and Kingsman, and then obviously the both the Kingsman sequel and prequel, The Kingsman and Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Matthew Vaughn is a man that has vision. He has a kinetic style. He has the look and feel of a comic book come to life, and he is the man that I would love to see take up the mantle of Superman. I will cede my time to the arguments.
All right. We're going to go ahead and move on next to Ryan. Your 1 minute will start when you begin speaking.
When it comes to Superman, he's been given so many different interpretations in the past that sometimes you just need a director that will be able to craft a Superman story that's not too serious, but that still remains true to Superman as a character, while also creating you something that will be fun and entertaining, something that you can just watch as a movie alone. And my director I would pick for that film is Robert Rodriguez. He has plenty of experience knowing how to write, direct films on low budgets, especially with, despite your opinions on Spy Kids and all the other films he's done, he knows exactly how to make a film that's entertaining for children and something as a parent you actually want to take your kids to see. But also with Superman, he can actually make an entertaining film while trying not too hard to keep it very goofy and hammy, as unfortunately as some of the later Reeves films have done. And also, he can find heart in it. You can take so many Superman comics and you can adapt them with Robert Rodriguez because he understands material.
All right. Good first minute there, Ryan. Chris, I'm going to move on to you, sir. You got 1 minute on the clock. Excuse me.
So when it comes to Superman, I think it's time, and much I love Henry Cavill, to honestly reboot this franchise. But I've been looking at Pat Becker, a director that unknown that people don't usually think that come out with a different Batman. Actually, with Linnell. With very new director, he only done directed 3 films before. He did a third in City, he did Upgrade and Invisible Man. But he known to take franchise and do it in a different direction that I think especially would work well with Superman. But when you don't have to redo the origin story as you already do with Superman, but do it like maybe like he already began his life as Superman helping people out, but he's not known yet. And he did you to put a little like heart to it. Well, to do something like Bane when you look at something like Upgrade where he just did with the whole technology and stuff. But I think in the end, especially when you look at how successful DC was with Shazam with Scott Derrickson and even with Marvel with Sam Raimi and like how directed that you don't think to Superman. And I think William Manel is a name that should be.
All right. So those are the three directors on the table: Matt Vaughn, Robert Rodriguez, and Lee Whannell. Certainly three different types of directors. Let's talk about that, though. Austin, you got time on the clock. It's 2 minutes when you start speaking.
What makes Matthew Vaughn so unique is that no matter what approach he takes to Superman, he can excel at it because he's done X-Men First Class, which is a crowd-pleasing X-Men collaborative film, mainstream appeal, family appeal, you name it. And it's a great prequel, which is hard to do in general. He's also done Kick-Ass, which if you want to go with the harder-edged Superman like we've seen, he can do that with the R-rated, simpler story. He's done Kingsman, which is spy comic books. And every single one of them has both been unique and excellent in their own ways. And if you deal with Superman, you have to deal with fantasy, which he's done with Stardust, a beloved cult classic that has really gained a lot of fans over the years. All these films have different properties. All of them have great action. All of them have great performances. As a director, the important thing is also to pull out performances from all your actors. We've seen him pull out great performances from relative unknowns at the time in X-Men First Class, James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, so much so that there are debates to this day on who's a better Professor X and Magneto, McAvoy and Fassbender, or Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. In Kick-Ass, he gave us Nick Cage's best performance in years as Big Daddy, a great up-and-comer Chloe Grace Moretz, showing that he can work with child actors if you end up doing the younger version of Superman to start. You've been able to get great performances out of guys like Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was seen as somewhat bland actors at first and has a great performance in Kick-Ass. Taron Egerton, who goes on in Kingsman and further playing Elton John, a great performance from Colin Firth, who you wouldn't believe is a badass, but turns him into a badass and makes it completely believable. The man knows what he's doing, knows how to get what he wants out of his actors. He can deal in prequel material. If you had to do the stuff on Krypton, he could easily do that. He knows how to have a complete vision like we've seen with the Kingsman films, and he knows exactly how to make an audience happy with his movies and make the comic book fans happy as well.
And time. All right. We'll go over to Ryan. Time starts when you begin speaking, sir.
One thing that is very unique about Robert Rodriguez as a director is mainly his vision. If looking at the films he has done in the past, from the Once Upon a Time in Mexico trilogy, the El Mariachi trilogy, the Spy Kids movies, even some of his worst films like Shark Boy and Lava Girl, each movie has its own unique style and unique world set up behind it. Whether if you're not a fan of the film itself, but you can't ignore how well he's able to create a world that you can believe that is real and exists. That's why with Superman, I see Robert Rodriguez can create a world where you can truly believe that someone like Superman not only exists, but you can believe that Metropolis is an actual place to live in. I mean, if you want to adapt a story for Superman, you can adapt either All-Star Superman or Robert Rodriguez, which involves some of the insane stuff like Superman fighting other Kryptonians, or Superman going against Starro, or a dying Superman having to go into the sun. Because what Rodriguez can do, he knows how to craft a story that has heart into it, especially with some of the stuff he's directed with the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. He knows how to give you characters and give you actors to make you love these characters. I mean, also talking about with child actors, sure, his strongest may not have been with Shark Boy and Lava Girl, but what he did with Spy Kids, giving you a family unit, especially with young actors at the time of Alexa Vega and Daryl Sabara, just giving them opportunity to carry a film and work on from there can show you that even if you don't like kid actors, or even if they're going to be great on screen, Rodriguez can actually craft them to where you can actually digest them. So let's say for a Superman film, you want to see Superboy, Rodriguez can give you that. I mean, if you want to do a sequel to Superman Returns, I think Robert Rodriguez can actually make a believable sequel to Superman Returns. It's all about that world building, and Rodriguez can create that world.
And time. All right, Diaz, back to you. 2 minutes on the clock.
When it comes to Vaughn now, yeah, he is an unknown name for a lot of people. Like, he mostly been a executive producer with Thing One, but he's been around the business long enough to know what to do with property. Whether you look at Upgrade, whether you look at Invisible Man, he takes property and give it unique touch. I think by now, especially with the old Superman movie we are kind of tired of seeing the same origin story, the same like how he began. Why not start it where he already in his prime, but also dealing with someone like Brainiac? And you should use the idea of what he did with Upgrade and do it with a little bit more on the day perspective Brainiac. And also trying to win the people over because people are still not sure how he is as Superman. You know, you had Nathan Late Luthor. They had people over Daily Planet that Halley does Superman good. And you need someone unique. I think like when you look at the track record, especially with DCU, like you got Anderson who did who did to them. It's really good. That you get a hard director to make them do something unique. That's what we need with Superman. We don't need directors that already done superhero movie before with Matthew Vaughn. Or done like big property like with Robert Rodriguez. We need someone with a unique take that should take Superman in a different director. Make it humorous but also a little dark. Make it very unique. Make it thought-provoking and very fun. I think especially when you look at stuff like Upgrade or Invisible Man. The way he shot the action sequences, especially whether you see the kitchen fight scene in Upgrade, or you see the hotel attack in Invisible Man, he does it lower budget. And I think one of the many problems with Superman movie, they go highly over budget. They go over the top acting, whether you get the tactical machine in Man of Steel, whether it's the doomsday thing. But I think with Leo now, he should do something with even lower budget and do it really well. He's the very talk about nowadays, a director that should be talked about. I think that's what we need to Superman, not someone who already done many superhero properties before a Butcher franchise.
And time. All right, guys, we're going to move into the open discussion round. Reminder, 3 people is one more than 2, so it's a little different than normal. But remember, guys, just be respectful of each other's time. Don't take up too much time, but make sure to get your points in as well. With that said, the timer will start ticking when the first person chimes in.
You said
if you guys thought... Go ahead, Brian. Sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, you said, Chris, that sometimes a director who's familiar with superhero films might be detrimental to it, but also, but one thing you have to realize is that sometimes when directors are attached to superhero films, it's mainly because they either have a disconnect or they just don't fully understand the property they're given because they're not really given a lot of information. Rodriguez, I believe, is a good director for Superman because he's someone who can understand the concept, even if he's just given the basic blocks. With his handling of Sin City, he was able to at least create a world that you will love. Sure, even if you don't love,
and with his handling of Sin City too, he absolutely crapped all over the legacy of Sin City and completely trashed his own movie when he was completely in control. Same thing with Machete and Machete Kills. The man cannot stick the landing, even though he starts out on a hot streak, which is why I would be afraid of him. I can say the same thing about Matthew Vaughn, especially with Kick-Ass and with the Kingsman. Kick-Ass, he may have had a good start on the first one, but in Kick-Ass, he didn't do the second one. He didn't do the second one.
But he was still an executive producer. He may have not been.
He didn't direct the second one. He didn't write the second one.
He had some creative input in this. His name was still attached to both of those franchises, even if
your man directed both of yours and wrote both of yours. There's no excuses there.
I'm not making an excuse. I'm just saying that even if Vaughn was not in the chair, even if he wasn't in the director's chair, he still had some creative input that caused the film to lose its identity.
So I want to point out, I think if we talk about Matthew Vaughn and Robert Rodriguez back in the day when they were actually doing good stuff, yes, they would be a good choice. But when you look at them now, I love Matthew Vaughn, I do. But the last 2 movies he directed were not good movies, and he tried to do over the top stuff. That I think with the same problem with Zack Snyder had with his handling Man of Steel, going over the top, going March to March. So, and I think Robert Rodriguez, when you look at how he handled Spike, how he handled the Boba Fett, taking such a great character and butchering it so badly in a TV show.
Rodriguez easily made the 3 worst episodes of Boba Fett, which are lauded right now. He would not have good plot.
I do not want to see him handle Superman.
Nobody wants to see him handle something like Superman right now. Yeah. Absolutely horrible.
It really depends on your interpretation of Rodriguez's work. Sure, they may not have been the best, but you cannot say that. But you can't not deny that there was there was still entertainment value in those Boba Fett episodes.
I think it's time to allow somebody new to come in that haven't done a superhero movie before, that had done with little technology, little idea that Superman have. And I think Lee Winnell is the right choice. When you look at
Lee Winnell is not ready for something on that type of scale. He makes glorified Twilight Zone episodes that are stretched out to a movie length, and he's not ready to handle a property. He does best with original properties, not something that's already established like Superman.
No, but he did it with Invisible Man. Let me point out, directed that mostly known for horror movie that nobody think would come in. Scott Derrickson, Sam Raimi. We could go on a list of people that nobody would thought would be handling Superman movie, but done it well. Whether you
Sam Raimi had already dabbled in comic books with Darkman, and then he just took on Spider-Man and made something a little more family friendly.
Yeah, but the thing he should be said about Lee Winnell.
Lee Winnell may have done a good job with Invisible Man, but the thing between Invisible Man and Superman was that the Invisible Man was a property that had been left in the back burner for years. So when he gets a hold of it, studios are not going to care exactly his interpretation. They just want a good film.
And that was a horror sci-fi property that existed years ago. He just made a new interpretation of it using technology instead of hocus pocus and potions. You know, he just brought a new interpretation to invisibility.
That's what made Superman unique. Bring a new interpretation that we have yet to see before. We don't want the Tim Origin story. We don't want another Man of Steel. We do not want a Christopher Reeve.
Well, that's the assumption. This is going to be a new interpretation.
Would do well because especially you bring a villain like Brainiac, he should do something different and unique. You guys just saying you don't want another Man of Steel. You don't want another Superman return.
We did not say that. I didn't say specifically a new Man of Steel. We're just saying that with our directors, especially Rodriguez, I'm not asking for a new franchise. He can do a one-off Superman story that can be like All-Star Superman or something from the comics to give you a good, heartful message of Superman to get the need for more Superman movies out there. It doesn't need to be him behind the wheel. I'm just saying if you want a new Superman film, a one-off, then Rodriguez is the kind of guy to do it.
I would definitely warn Ryan not to lean into Robert Rodriguez directing children's movies when he made 3 of the worst child's movies of all time with Spy Kids 3D, Spy Kids 4, and Shark Boy and Lava Girl 3D. Absolutely atrocious, Razzie-winning films.
Are looked at now. They're actually beloved. There's actually a cult following beyond those 3.
And time. Well, that was glorious. Guys, you have 1 minute left on the clock to wrap up.
We're like dogs at a bone. We all just want to get the time is a bone. We're all just like dogs just trying to
Austin, 1 minute on the clock. Time starts when you speak, sir.
Matthew Vaughn is the total package, which is what I'm trying to say. He is absolutely excelled when he enters any kind of comic book, and he's done all different types. His action scenes, which is what you want to see nowadays out of a Superman movie, not just a character piece. You just look at the Kingsman Freebird scene. There's so much chaos, and yet it's completely easy to follow. He makes absolutely kinetic, great choreographed action sequences, and that's what he would bring to this, is strength and a sense of style that a lot of these movies don't have, that it's different from a Zack Snyder style. Just for instance, Rodriguez excels when he's doing horror, excels when he's doing just dark, gritty, action stuff. But I'm sorry, if you want to do something family friendly, that's not what to lean into, as I cited with his Razzie-winning films. Lee Winnell just doesn't have the experience. I don't want to see him take on this thing quite yet. I think he could do it in the future, but when your only experience is like I said, glorified Twilight Zone episodes expanded into full-length feature films, it's too much for him to handle.
And time. All right, Ryan, down to you. 1 minute on the clock. Time starts when you begin speaking.
One thing to pay attention to when it comes with the Superman film is exactly how you're going to be able to be artistic or at least create a story while working within the budget. And despite his worst films, Rodriguez, he can be able to craft the film by using good camera techniques, good editing styles on a limited budget. And that's exactly what he can do with Superman. And despite some of the worst films he's done, every film has a good character and a good nice story that ties into it. And with Superman, though, every film we've gotten, we've lost sight of who Superman is as a character, especially in the Snyder films. And I believe Zack can give us that Superman character. Both give us something to love Superman and Clark Kent, love Lois Lane, Jimmy Olsen. Hell, if you want to add in Superboy, do that. Lana Lang, go for it. But he knows how to work with an ensemble, and because people love working with him, he's able to always work with like actors like Antonio Banderas, Danny Trejo, Carlo Gugino. I mean, Ricardo Montalban, before he passed away, loved working with him, and he can give you a very diverse casting crew.
And time. All right, Chris, you have the final minute on the clock. Time starts when you begin speaking.
The problem with Matthew Vaughn and Robert Rodriguez, they passed the time now, right? They've been like butchering stuff, whether you came to Kingman, whether using a Boba Fett. And like they had, and I think we just don't want the same type of film we want. Even Matthew Vaughn, the way he handled like the naming Man-Eater and Pet Fett, they have one more cringy moment in X-Men First Class. I think right now, he's the unknown name that you want, kind of similar to Sam Raimi. Similar to Scott Shannon, similar to a bunch of directors that come in and give something new, something perspective. To not do the origin story, but do a different look at Superman at his prime, him dealing with doubt and being a superhero. But give a unique shot with even lower budget to give you something you've never seen before Superman movie. That's especially bringing a bunch of great cast. I mean, Redhead, where he got his performance, Logan Marshall Green in Upgrade, even Elizabeth Moss in Invisible Man. And do it insane action sequence that would make new to Superman. We want something new and different Superman. We just don't want the same origin crap that we got with Man of Steel, that Matthew Vaughn and Rodriguez.
All right, guys, a great first round from the three of you. I'm going to go ahead and send you guys to the back to await the judges' decisions while I go ahead and pull them in. All right, guys. So I do have a couple quick fact checks while you guys are making up your minds at the last minute. In terms of Kick-Ass 2, yes, Matthew Vaughn is attached as a producer. However, from the research I could find, he did not have any involvement with the story or the direction. In fact, Jeff Wadlow, who wrote the script and directed the film, was chosen by Matthew Vaughn to handle that complete aspect of the film so that he could focus on doing Kingsman. In terms of the Book of Boba Fett reference that was brought up, that was correct, using the best aspect I can use on a quick research, which is Rotten Tomatoes review aggregates. Robert Rodriguez's episodes were the 3 lowest rated of the entire series. For what it's worth, though, he also had the highest rated episode of The Mandalorian in season 2, with the only episode receiving a 100% critical consensus of a like rating. Also, I couldn't get enough research in because it was a last minute pull-up. But from what I could find, Robert Rodriguez's films as an entity have never won nor been nominated for a Razzie. However, Sylvester Stallone, for his performance in Spy Kids 3D, did win a Golden Raspberry Award. The film itself was not nominated, nor did it win for something in its entirety, like film or direction or screenplay. With that said, though, I'm going to go to our judges. JD, I go to you first. Who gets your vote, and what was the main point that sold you?
It came down to Austin and Ryan for me. And then I bought the points that, maybe that Ryan right now is not ready yet, that he hasn't, his background is mostly horror, thrillers. So maybe he needs a little more time. So between Ryan and Austin, I honestly, what gave it to Ryan is that I honestly did the fact that Austin didn't choose like what kind of film that is that Matthew Vaughn wanted to direct made me, I know what, whether I like it or not, what kind of movie Robert Rodriguez is going to direct, and it would be unique, and for a one-off.
Okay. Kevin, I go down to you. As concise as you can get it for me. Who gets your vote, and what was the main point that sold you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was kind of in the same mindset as JD, but I'm going to go with Austin. His points about Kingsman and his X-Men films, Matthew Vaughn's X-Men films, just sold me. Him versus Ryan going back and forth. I feel like Ryan just he put out there about his that Robert Rodriguez can adapt a really good story, i.e. Sin City, but Austin had a really good comeback on how he didn't do a good job on Sin City 2. So I think Austin won the point for me there.
All right, which means Alex, first off, welcome to the Movie Battleground, sir. This is your first time here. You are putting your vote in this time as well. Which of the three competitors did you go with, and what was the main point that sold you?
I honestly, again, for me, it's heartbreaking because I thought it was gonna. In my head, I wanted to go the other way, but the facts, as it pointed out, I'm going to give the point to Austin. I thought bringing up a film like Layer Cake, which is against even the kind of genre that Matthew Vaughn generally makes. He makes these like goofy crime comedies. Kind of rounding out the game a little bit, that Matthew Vaughn is able to kind of craft different narratives. I think that's ultimately what sold it, as opposed to the, hey, we're gonna do a goofy kid, some kids movie for Robert Rodriguez. I think that's just not as strong a point and not as interesting to me. So I'll give the point to Austin.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and send the three of you guys to the back, and I will go ahead and bring back in our competitors as we go ahead and move on to question number 2. And question number 2 is going to be a question that will come at you guys in the speed round format. Now, if this is your first time seeing an exhibition match, you may be asking, what is the speed round? The speed round is essentially Movie Battleground, but quicker. We are axing the open discussion round, and the time the competitors have to speak will be shrunk. They will have 60 seconds to open. They will only have 90 seconds to get a second speaking time in, and they're closing in a normal match where the speed round happens, which is only in number one contenders matches and title matches, although you guys will get to see that version next week with our tournament finals. It is 30 seconds. I'm going to give the competitors 45 seconds to close tonight because there's 3 of them. So again, even it out a little bit more to give them a chance to address everything. But with that said, if you guys are all good to go. All right.
Yes, we're good.
Question
I'm good.
for the speed round is DC is a company in terms of their film releases where I feel like the bulk of their movies fall under one of 2 categories. You either unabashedly love them or you unabashedly hate them. I feel like it's very rare that we see a DC film go into that middle ground, because even something like Man of Steel, which is middlingly reviewed, everyone is on the hate it or love it spectrum. So I thought an interesting question to see was, what is the most underrated DC film of all time? Film, not films. That's incorrect English, but I was typing quickly, so that is what it is. With that said, though, we're going to go ahead and get into it. Ryan, you are up first on this one. So as I go ahead and bring up your timer, your opening minute will start when you begin speaking, sir.
One of the most underrated DC films I came across was a film I watched a couple of months ago and realized that it was hated on too much for what it was. And that is the 1966 Batman movie starring Adam West. That film was just bashed on by so many of the culture because everyone made fun, because around this time later on, the Tim Burton films came out as Schumacher films, and then later on we got Batman Begins. And so everyone thought it was fun to hate this film when, not looking at it, this film was a product not of its time, but of the series that it was spawned off of. This film came out months after the first season of the 66 Batman film. So the show was popular enough during its year in order to warrant a film. And also the performances in there from Frank Gorshin, Lee Merriweather, the actor who plays the Rockies coach, all of them and Cesar Romero, they all give great performance, honest to the portrayals they were given in the 1966 show. And looking back at it now, you can actually enjoy it for what it is.
Time. All right, Diaz, 1 minute on the clock to open. Time starts when you begin speaking.
When speaking of question, comparing to the other question, when it comes to more underrated film from DC, I had to go with the one that get hated upon the most, that you see in the comment every single time saying, "That's Darknet, Superman kill." Like, Jonathan can't say no, and when Superman could have seen him. I had to go with Man of Steel. I think Man of Steel is one of the more brilliantly underutilized from the DCU. I think it's a great study for DCU. I think it's full of great performance. You can't see my Henry Cavill, Kevin Costner, Amy Adams, Michael Shannon, Like everybody gave me top-notch performance, and along with some controversy stuff, like the man dealing with, do he want the same people? Like people hating on him. Like, what can I do? And for the people that say, "Oh, he's Superman," kill a lot of people. It's first time being Superman. Like it's like on a thing, and I just hear hate upon hate. And I put the Hans Zimmer score one of the best scores for any DC movie. Like whenever you see Superman first fight, but I honestly on movie that
And time. All right, Austin, back up to you. 1 minute on the clock, sir. Time starts when you speak.
Back in 2005, there was a movie that came out that people were not ready for at the time. That comic book fans who were used to in the mid 2000s watching X-Men films and Spider-Man films and corny Fantastic Four films were not ready for Constantine. Keanu Reeves' version of Constantine back in 2005, which had a completely unique take on comic books that we had never seen before, and introduced a lot of people to the Hellblazer comics and the character of John Constantine. And at the time, it was critically panned. People did not enjoy it, but it has garnered one of the best cult followings that you can have for a great comic book film, so much so that now people clamoring for things like Justice League Dark. And even when Guillermo del Toro was tapped at one point, people wanted Keanu Reeves to come back for the role of John Constantine because they looked back and realized what a mistake they had made overlooking this film at the time. It's a wonderful film that was critically not appreciated at the time it came out.
And time. All right, we're going to move on to the 90-second period of the debate. Ryan, it is back to you, sir. Time starts when you begin speaking.
One thing I did mention about Batman 66 was the performances of all the actors involved. Everyone played exactly the characters they were given from the show because they had spent over 26 episodes developing these characters, and the tone of the movie is the same as the tone of the show, which I will say, after the movie came out, there were still 2 more seasons of Batman 66. But even then, this film was bashed because of how much they treat. Everyone was saying Batman was treated like a joke. Everyone talks about the shark repellent spray, the sometimes you can't get rid of a bomb, the goofy performances from Frank Gorshin and Cesar Romero. But if you really watch it, it's being honest to the material and the way it was written. Because I'll tell you, the way you can't get rid of a bomb, it's set up perfectly to where Batman is trying to get rid of a bomb by not causing collateral damage. And one thing also is that they tried very well to portray Batman and Robin not as vigilantes, but as costume crime fighters working with the police. This film is trying so hard to paint Batman and Robin as a crime fighting duo instead of vigilantes who go outside of the law. And at the same time, they also do a great job of tackling the main plot itself. Sure, it gets a little wonky towards the end, but having Batman and Robin go up against 4 criminals trying to disable or destroy the world government, and then unfortunately, even though it was botched towards the end, they still found a way to save the day. And I believe even in the shows, we do see Batman and Robin continue on doing this, having the same chemistry and having the same kinds of problem solving they did in that movie.
And time. All right. Up to you, Chris. Time starts when you begin speaking.
So in terms of manager, I've been around this community for a long time. I hear people derail it just because of what Superman does in film. They derail it for the monotone in it. They derail it for the dark tone. But when you look back at it, and I think what people don't appreciate is kind of an honest look at Superman and what makes Superman human. Like he's dealing with the doubt. He's dealing with, can I be able to save people? Like his guilt of not saving his adopted father. And it's for time doing a job. So sure there'll be a lot of casualties. When you're out in a community that made Snap Jennifer's on that joke on a YouTube comment all the time. I've been on plenty of YouTube videos with that joke. Or they up and on that say Superman kills. Superman does this. The development made the movie great. With Batman the movie and Constantine, I think they perfectly rated. Even with Batman the movie, there are a lot of people that do love it. It hold a 76% want to make it the highest between the theater. And Constantine in the film that more people discover every day. They're admitting that with Batman, it's still yet to get that cult level of love. It's still getting the dead dog joke. They're still getting development about the last act. And if that's not actually doing something that make it remarkably unique, with beautiful score, with wonderful acting, with wonderful theme, that's what you really want to film that should deserve more love than the other two.
And time. All right, Austin, up to you, sir. 90 seconds on the clock when you start speaking.
The definition of underrated is defined as not rated or valued highly enough, and that's perfect for a movie like Constantine, which was not valued enough at the time for how cool and unique and it was, and the vision that it had, the vision of the supernatural, the divisions of hell that are in the movie, the creature designs, the bug creature that gets splattered on the truck is great. John Constantine using these wonderful supernatural weapons and abilities, unlike a traditional kind of superhero flying around. It plays like a horror fantasy neo-noir hybrid, which was so unique in the time of a Tim Story, Fantastic Four film or an X-Men film, and just people weren't ready for it at the time. And that's why, like I said, it's been discovered as it's been coming out later, as people are clamoring for things like Justice League Dark. It currently holds a 7.0 on IMDb, which is very high from what it used to be. It has a great cast, like I said, not to mention the wonderful angel that is Keanu Reeves, and playing a little bit against Ty. People complained at the time that he wasn't British, but we don't want to see Keanu playing British. We saw that in Dracula, and we saw how that worked out. We don't want to see that. Tilda Swinton as Gabriel is a wonderful side character. Peter Stormare is one of the greatest depictions of Satan you could ever get in this movie, and he absolutely steals it. It's this movie's ace in the hole. It didn't leave the biggest mark on comic book cinema at the time, but when we get more and more cookie cutter films like the things from the MCU, looking back on something like Constantine, we have to grow to appreciate the vision that it had and the more intriguing take on a comic book horror story that was John Constantine. So it's just a wonderful in that way that people are discovering every day, just like Chris Diaz said. Batman the movie, horrible detecting in that movie, absolutely atrocious.
All right, time.
Excuse me.
Sorry, that wasn't on you. That's on me. All right, guys. Sorry about the odd hard cut there that I'm assuming showed up in editing. There was a brief internet issue on my end. In that moment, though, Austin did go over by about 20 seconds, which is perfectly okay because they weren't aware that anything happened to me. I wasn't on screen, obviously. So what we're going to do is for Ryan and Chris, we're going to add an extra 20 seconds to their closing. Oh, right, I can't do that. 45 plus 20 is 65.
A minute and 5 seconds.
105.
A minute and 5 seconds. Yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right. So we're going to add an extra 20 seconds to their closing just to make sure everybody's on even ground. But with that said, it does go back to Ryan. Time starts when you begin speaking.
To draw on why Batman 66 is underrated, mainly it goes on because when films over time, when a new generation sees a film, it depends on the impression it leaves on the new generation, especially with Batman as a pivotal character. You do see him now. He's been given such a serious treatment. Everyone sees this Adam West film as a complete joke. It was everyone's excuse as to why the Schumacher films didn't work, and it was a constant excuse as to why Adam West's Batman was never as seen as valued as a great Batman compared to the likes of Keaton, Bale, and even I'll say Ben Affleck. But if you really look at this film, it does a good job of maintaining its tone and its story from what it was continuing on from the show that it spawned off of. One thing I will say that with Constantine and Man of Steel is that you don't have an understanding idea of where the story is going to go until maybe 20 or 15 minutes in. That is if you are paying attention. With Batman 66, it just tells you right off the start where it's going to go, and it's just going to build. And just like every good roller coaster, it's strapping you in and hoping that you enjoy the ride.
And time. All right, Diaz, back up to you. Time starts when you begin speaking.
This my closing argument?
Yes, it is. Oh, right. That's Aaron. You're supposed to say that.
All good.
So the thing with Batman 66 and Constantine, if they all perfectly be discovered today by a lot of people. Austin made the point that people discovered they clamoring for Keanu Reeves. And Batman 66 back in the day were perfectly rated by people. People found it perfectly entertaining. They made the joke, but they still entertain half value. Man still had yet to discover cult classics that it deserved. It was the first DCU. It introduced Superman a different way that doesn't you see every day in DCU movie that's honest depiction of a guy struggling with his doubt and insecurity. Also give me an honest look. You get great performance from Henry Cavill. Amy Adams, Michael Shannon, Lloyd Fitzgerald, let's go on. However, some really good action sequence and great moment of just dialogue. We say it doesn't have a story. It begins with the destruction Krypton and goes to Sabrina life. Yeah, it's spread out all between, but it's powerful moment. And Kevin Costner giving one of the best performances in the film as his father. Like, you are my son, really touching moment. And the Hans Zimmer score is amazing. People need to discover where Constantine and Batman got to
And time. All right, and then Austin, I go up to you for the 45-second close. Time starts when you begin speaking, sir.
Well, Ryan, forgive Constantine for taking 15 or 20 minutes to set up atmosphere and a mythology for character that people aren't really familiar with. I'm sorry about that. Man of Steel, look, it's perfectly. Look, the only reason it got crapped on at the time, it's pretty beloved now, is that there were baby boomers who couldn't get over their fetish for Christopher Reeve and couldn't move past a Superman that actually punched people in the face and didn't just toss people into walls. As far as Batman the movie, yeah, people loved it at the time, and yeah, it's perfectly rated for the time because that's the kind of corniness that people wanted in the '60s. They didn't want to see anything dark or violent. It's a perfectly great drunk watch now. If you want to drink and watch, Bad Detective, where the world's greatest detective can't tell the difference between his girlfriend and Catwoman with a little thing over her eyes. Yeah, fun drunk watch. I like it.
And time. All right, guys. Great speed round. I'm going to go ahead and send you guys back behind the scenes while I bring in our judges for this round. All right. So just a couple of small fact checks here on this one. Ryan, obviously, as he was naming off the villains, he did get 3 of them. Lee Merriweather was Catwoman. Cesar Romero was Joker. Frank Gorshin was the Riddler. And Rocky's trainer was the Penguin. His name is Burgess Meredith. That was just a slip of the mind, I'm sure. Constantine, again, using the aggregator that is Rotten Tomatoes, since Constantine's reviews was the one that was called into question the most. Its critic score, which generally speaking stays pretty consistent after the first couple of weeks. It's not often a critic goes back to input a score for a movie that's years old. That does sit at a 46%. The audience score, which generally gets updated more over time as more and more people see it, sits at a 72%. So the audience score is currently higher by a good amount. As Ryan did say, unlike most things today where you have the show run and then the movie comes out to end it, Batman is actually a different story. Its first season of 34 episodes aired, then the movie was produced, and then the show went on to continue for 2 more seasons. But with that said, I do go to the judges. Kevin, you are up first. And based on the arguments, who sold you and what was the main point that did?
Yeah, Ryan almost sold me there on the Batman 66 movie, which I, at first, didn't think was going to be possible. But in the end, Constantine was, in my head, the right choice, and Austin pulled it, and he put his foot on the gas. He said it was cool and unique, the supernatural. Talked about the bug creatures, talked about how it was a horror fantasy neo-noir hybrid. So he hit all the right points for me. So my point goes to Austin.
All right, Alex, I go to you next. Who gets your vote, and what was the main thing that sold you?
I would say that my Ryan made it quite close. Once again, I think they really battled out, but I honestly probably would say that my vote goes to Austin. I think making the point that Constantine was such a different thing than lots of other directors were making at the time. The state of things in 2005 was grim, to say the least, for serious movies and serious fantasy. I think that was a strong point in my mind and kind of tipped it a little bit for me.
All right. Well, Joe, thank you for being here as a judge. You will get to speak on the next round at the very least, but we'll go ahead and send you guys to the back as we go ahead and bring in the competitors. And at this point, as you guys can see at the bottom, with only 3 questions in an exhibition, Austin has won the exhibition. But we do have one more question, and since we're playing for fun, we're going to play it anyways. Just means there will be no blind round.
We're playing
question.
for fun?
Yeah.
I play to win, but okay, that's fine.
Well, that's fine. If you want to try hard and cream them, you can. But Ryan, Chris, you are playing for second place right here tonight because this question is our Batman question. we decided to throw one in there. And I think the biggest thing that people are anticipating, at least ahead of time, about this movie is its cast. It has an incredible cast full of a lot of younger, newer actors, as I said. Obviously, Robert Pattinson, Paul Dano, Zoe Kravitz. He's not exactly young, but Colin Farrell's in the film as well. And there's a lot of great actors in this movie that are kind of on their way up. And so, in celebration of what we hope is a myriad of great performances, I led with the question, who has given the best performance in a Batman film? Now, in order to kind of limit the choices down, I said they could pick either for a actor playing Batman or one of his leading villains, just to kind of limit the pot a little bit because there are a ton of choices on the table. I'm also going to throw out a second caveat because I'm sure it's one that a lot of people will immediately go to, as did one of our competitors at one point. Because it is technically not a Batman movie, it is a spin-off on a villain that does not include Batman. Joker was not an acceptable answer for this villain or for this question. I know Joaquin was probably an immediate go-to for a lot of people, but ahead of time it was decided that it would not be an acceptable answer for the question because the film is actually not a Batman film. It is a spin-off focusing on a new interpretation of the Joker that has in that specific film nothing to do with Batman. With that said, though, we do have 3 great performances on the table. So we're going to go ahead and bring in the timer. And it will be Chris on this round who starts us off with the 1 minute opening. Time starts when you begin speaking.
So, kind of pertaining to what Aaron just said, the best Batman movie performance to me is the actor that a lot of people doubted he could get a performance. When they heard his name, people like the Brokeback Mountain guy as the Joker. I gave it Heath freaking Ledger. He's the actor that brought somewhat uniqueness to the Joker. So not mythology, mysteriousness, and make it unique. That he wrote in Jonah, like he kept that separated for the cast so he could get into character. He wrote Jonah as the Joker. Some should say that, his getting into character led to his death. But he's one of the most unique performers. Whether you see it at the laugh, whether you see it right to stereo, the bank heist, the interrogation scene, the hospital sequence. But more than his dialogue, that's the way he does the Joker, the moment of uniqueness, moment of intelligence, moment you notice on rewatch that make the Joker somewhat different than what you usually get for any interpreted Joker. He is the best performer ever given. He won the Oscar for it, and even if he had lived to
time. All right, Austin, I go up to you next, sir. 1 minute on the clock to open. Time starts when you begin speaking.
I picked a different Joker and one that Heath Ledger owes a lot to in his performance, and that's Jack Nicholson's Joker from the 1989 Batman. When you think of the 1989 Batman, the first thing you think of is not Batman. You think of Jack Nicholson as the Joker. He's top billed. He's right there on the poster. He's right. He's everything to that movie. You mentioned that Heath Ledger won an Oscar. Well, when casting Jack Nicholson, he was already an Oscar winner and already a multi-time Oscar nominee. He absolutely is given everything he needs to excel in this movie to make one of the most memorable comic book performances, period, in any comic book movie, and one that people still love to this day, still look to for inspiration. The comic Mark Hamill's Joker takes a lot from Jack Nicholson's Joker, which a lot of people love, and it's still looked to as the quintessential archetype of what a Joker can and should be.
All right, that will be time on Austin's opening round. Ryan, I go down to you for the third opening argument. Time starts when you begin speaking, sir.
Well, my pick for an actor who gave a great performance in a Batman film, I give this one to Tom Hardy as Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. Now, Tom Hardy, when he got this role, he obviously had a lot on his plate. But Tom Hardy, if you see his earlier works in the past, when he gets a role, he goes in to commit 100%, and he definitely commits as Bane. Even if his face is being restricted or covered mostly by a mask, you watch that film, he is performing with his eyes, with his body movement. He is giving you a villain who is just as intimidating before he even speaks. And of course, as much people want to joke on the voice and everything he does, even then, it doesn't detract from actually what Bane is as a physically imposing villain. The way the camera close-up shots are on him, you see him with his eyes when he is giving a performance. This man is acting. And even then, if you want to see him without the mask, him portraying someone who's vicious and methodical, look at his past performance as Bronson, where he has almost the same physical stature. He performs 100% and he gives his all.
Time. All right, Chris, back up to you, sir. 2 minutes on the clock. Time starts when you begin speaking.
Listen, all three performances are great. I think the problem with Tom Hardy is that his voice distracts from his acting. That was a lot, and his character very wonderfully underwritten as a character. Like, he not really doesn't become villain to the end. It becomes more and more Kojal the last act. Like, and Jack Nicholson, I just think, playing the Joker we usually see. It's the same type of stuff we see in the comic. But Heath Ledger, he did something unique with the Joker that you don't see, the mysterious Joker, the unpredictable Joker. You don't know what he's going to do next when you first watch Dark Knight. Like, whether you think at the pencil secret, whether you think at the hospital secret, interrogation room. Yeah, you can't predict what he's going to do. But the moment his acting that you need, but at the moment where he shot the shotgun up in the air entering Bruce Wayne's party, and you hear the chandelier track, and then he just turn around looking to see where the knights were coming from. You need, whether smile, whether the licking lip, he does make the Joker a character that you don't know what to expect from him. The unknown story, but he's telling a story about where he got the scars from. But it's just like the fact that he went into character, that he got into character to mine, like, and it what inspired later on with Joaquin Phoenix did similar thing with Joker. It's just like it's unique. It's different what you usually see. It's sadly what led to that some would think. But even today, like, he was still like he was still in the Oscars because it's the performance you think about. One of the best villains from the 2000s. Someone that is scary, unpredictable, very intense. For a great one-liner, but full of acting little moments here and there that make him unique, stand out more than Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson was playing a stereotype of the Joker that we've seen from the comics, kind of similar to Mark Hamill, carefree joking, like ha ha ha. Not scared. Oh, Heath Ledger made the Joker what we would want it. Scary, unique. That it's to go toe to toe with Batman and ruin his life more than Jack Nicholson did, more than Tom Hardy did.
And that is time. Austin, I go up to you, sir. 2 minutes on the clock when you start speaking.
The reason I chose Jack Nicholson is because at the time, you have to put yourself back in the mindset of 1989. The only thing that mainstream audiences had seen of the Joker was Cesar Romero in the aforementioned Batman the movie and Batman the TV series. You mentioned the comic books, but there were a lot less comic book readers and fans out there at the time when this movie came out. The movie had to appeal to a wider audience, and you get Jack Nicholson to get the attention on the movie. He comes in and delivers a performance that is comically accurate, that is psychotic, is crazy, is funny, which is what needs to be. Heath Ledger has no humor in his role, which humor is a huge part of the Joker. You get a little more into the Joker's backstory in this movie. The fact that they gave him a mob backstory of Jack Napier, where Jack Nicholson is able to shine in almost a Chinatown type performance, and be sort of this gangster. He's great as that. He could have been a great villain just as Jack Napier, this gangster. He's dangerous in that. He shoots Eckhart, right dead cold in that factory. He's unhinged as it is, and becomes even more unhinged as the Joker. He's the most dangerous Joker we've ever seen on screen, with a confirmed 50 kills in that movie. I mean, his plan is to gas all of Gotham City. He already has been killing people with his plot of mixing all the different cosmetic products to where people are just dropping dead left and right. He is completely unhinged, completely psychotic, and he does it with a big giant smile on his face while cracking jokes, which is exactly what we want to see in a Joker. And what made him unique is that he kills while having fun doing it. I mean, he kills his own henchman Bob out of nowhere when a plan goes wrong. A guy who's been completely loyal to him just takes a gun and shoots him right in the heart. Every other Joker we've ever seen has taken everything from Jack Nicholson and put a spin on it. Everybody owes a lot to Nicholson. It's a phenomenal performance when you go back and look at it.
And time. All right, Ryan, down to you for the last 2 minute segment. Time starts and you begin speaking.
a reason why I picked Tom Hardy in this film, because it draws back onto what Chris said about him being not seen as a villain. From the start of this film, he is constantly, Bane as a character is constantly underestimated from everyone who comes across him, from the CIA agent on the plane, from Bruce Wayne from Bruce Wayne throughout the entire film. No one took him seriously, and look what he was able to do while working. He may not be the main villain, but even if he was just a side boss or a henchman, look what he was able to accomplish. He crashes a CIA plane. He fakes a Russian doctor's death in order to get him to turn what is supposed to be a clean, renewable energy source into a nuclear bomb. He's able to use a corrupt businessman in order to lace concrete throughout the entirety of Gotham City to isolate it from the entire world. And it doesn't matter if this was his plan or not. Bane was somebody who was entrusted with this plan to turn Gotham on it, to make Gotham turn on itself, and he was able to do that for months on end, making the people believe they had hope to survive this, when in reality they were living under a time bomb, with only a few people knowing the truth. He made even the military so scared of what's going to happen that when Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character went to take some kids out, they blew up a bridge because they were so terrified. Bane used controlled fear. He used controlled panic in order to keep a city in its place and the world on its knees. With both Jokers, yes, they are unpredictable, and that's one thing that scares you about them. But even then, I'd rather be afraid of somebody who has a controlled plan all the way to the end than someone who's just going to kill me on a whim. Sure, I'll be more afraid in the moment, but I would be terrified if I'm locked in my own home, not knowing what the hell is going to happen to me, believing that I can still survive this. That is something that Bane was able to create within that film.
And time. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and go into the 5-minute open debate. The timer will start ticking when the first person chimes in.
So, Ryan, I want to... you were just talking about the character more than a performance. I think Tom Hardy is giving a fine performance. I think his voice is what killing a lot of his performance. But you should say that he acting fine. It's just like he coming off of Heath Ledger, where Heath Ledger is like unpredictable. The moment, like he convinced Batman to go the other way instead of saving his love interest. He say Harvey Dent.
That's also one of his down things. You don't understand his motivations. You don't understand his backstory. You don't understand where he's coming from in his thing. No, you need to understand a little bit of where he's coming from. The fact that he lies the entire movie and you don't know what the truth is, you're left with more questions than answers.
But problem with technically, problem with Tom Hardy, he played like they portray the character like predictable. You see stuff coming. Yeah, you say Jack Nicholson character killed. He killed a lot, but you could kind of see a lot of death coming my way. Like they kind of lay everything out.
You say Tom Hardy's predictable? I would argue against that because sure, he looked predictable on the outside, but he had a secret plan underneath it. He was, like I said, sure, I talked a lot about the character, but also because of Tom Hardy's performance that went into the character. One specific. When Gordon is brought to him underneath the sewers, his men are so terrified of him because the way Tom Hardy positions himself. When he addresses them, they think that he's talking to Gordon, but he's talking to his other guy. And when the guy fails, he doesn't kill him on a whim. He killed him because it was going to disrupt their plan, and it proved Bane right. Because
but it's the same thing you just say about Heath Ledger to Joker. Like in the moment at the interrogation thing when he with that one detective, like how many people did I kill? Like, that little smirk, like he got egging him on. You don't know where that's going. And then you think no human moment. There was some human moment, like, and I had my phone call, please. The hospital bomb not going the right way and just pressing it. Like it's that dark humor, but he also
that was because the bomb just didn't work. That was an improvised moment. Yes, it was fun, but like that wasn't even in the script. And look, the thing I have with Bane and the problem with Tom Hardy's performance is that yes, people complain about the voice thing, but it is a legitimate complaint because he had to redub the entire movie. That's a problem with the performance when you're doing a performance that nobody can understand to the point where you had to redub the entire. When you had to redub the entire thing, it hurts the performance because you have to be able to understand the dialogue. I understand you're talking about eyes, but the dialogue is very important because Bane has to be an intellectual, and if you can't understand his intellectual plans, you can't understand the character.
Well, you didn't just redub. Everything had to fall onto the ADR technical aspect because this mainly fell onto Nolan unfortunately, Nolan not understanding the whole thing with the sound aspect. Hardy didn't change a thing in his voice when it came down to it. Sure, they had to up the volume and redub and use ADR in order to make it more understandable. But it's still. But even when you rewatch,
but if they had made it more comically accurate with the toxins just going into him, you wouldn't have to cover his face to where you can't understand the damn thing he says. You could just talk and just be Tom Hardy.
Accurate, his face would still have to be covered. They gave a purpose behind that mask with this character being in 100% pain. And that moment when Batman knocks loose the mask, you can see the look of panic and worry on Hardy physically when he's trying to put it back on, and then you see in his body movements how he's swinging wildly like a caged animal because he is in so much pain. Acting is more than just vocal; it's also body movement.
Okay, so Ryan brought it up, and then saying it also a little bit. Like I saw Jack Nicholson playing Joker usually with Heath Ledger. The amount of dedication he go into his performance. The fact that he got into character, the fact that he isolated himself for his cast member, writing in a journal, like stuff at the Joker, like getting into character.
That's not always a great thing. Like, why can't you work with your actors and make the movie better? Like, why is it good to separate yourselves from the other actors to where they don't know what you're going to do? It's not always a good thing.
Counteract that. There's a quote that Laurence Olivier said about working with Dustin Hoffman when he's being method.
Just try acting.
And
just try acting.
Heath Ledger's like he created a character that he improvised for Jack Nicholson and Mark Hamill, but he made it his own. That it usually stand out his acting, whether it's the smirk, whether it's the bomb moment, whether it's like his voice. It's scary. It's like it's unique. It brings something new to Joker.
They're being both Heath and Nicholson were being scary for the sake of being scary.
No, because Heath Ledger made it.
Mine's not always being scary. He's always, like I said, he's being funny as well, which is what the Heath Ledger thing lacks, is a sense of entertainment value. You need that entertainment value as well, and that's what Joker brings, and that's why Mark Hamill did the mix of that.
Villains can entertain more than one ways of being funny, and they don't always need to overtake the hero. They need to be the Oscar hero.
Time. All right, everybody, breathe in, breathe out. Let's go ahead and go on to our 1 minute closings. Chris, you are up first, sir. The time starts when you begin speaking.
Listen, all three of these give me really good performance. I see Tom Hardy, just his voice and the way he took the character and just how he tried to make the character. And coming off of Heath Ledger, in honesty, I think that Nicholson played a stereotype of the Joker from the comic where he had improvisation for, and to play that Nicholson. I think what Heath Ledger, what made him the best performer you see any Batman movie, what the dedication to it he gives to the character, where it's the voice, where it's a little smile, the little tick, little moment after you don't notice on the first time, the chandelier dropping, him turning away, the bomb going off, and look at his lips, it doesn't make it unique. He's saying that you need to be a character that more than just a voice. He does bring it, with the man with it, the way his eyes look, the creepy laugh, like when he's laughing with Batman beating the shit out of him in interrogation room. The fact that he dedicated himself to the character, which sadly some would say lead to his death. And even if he had died, he wouldn't want to out there. It is the best performance for any Batman movie. And my favorite.
And time. All right, Austin, back up to you. Time starts when you begin speaking.
Again, what Heath Ledger's lacks is a sense of fun, a gleeful nature in the crazy, which is what Jack Nicholson brings, is that gleeful nature that Joker enjoys being psychotic, is that Joker enjoys killing, and Joker enjoys hurting people, and he can laugh while doing it. I mean, the fact that he pretends like everything's cool with the one mob guy and the thing and just walks over and electrocutes him to death is exactly what makes that performance unique, and just laughs it off and talks to a corpse. I mean, that's amazing scene, and it shows what Jack Nicholson can do with that, and a lot of that was even improvised. Again, my problem with Bane is, yes, he's doing well with his eyes, but that's the best part of performance, because I can't understand a goddamn thing he says, which is exactly why they had to redub everything he did. Look, Ledger is a good performance, but I'm left with more questions than answers, because you've given zero backstory, zero motivation, and you're left pondering more things about his character than confirming any things about his character. It's just anarchy for the sake of anarchy, with nothing behind it.
And time. All right, Ryan, back to you. Final minute of the round. Time starts when you begin speaking.
the thing both Chris and Austin use with their characters of using Joker with Heath Ledger and Jack Nicholson is that exactly the character of the Joker is meant to be someone who's unpredictable, psychotic, and pretty much violent. And sure, these two men had to give that performance. Tom Hardy chose something different with Bane, and I constantly keep saying this again, his physical and facial movements. The two scenes I talked about, the one scene I talked about with him in the sewer, the other scene is him confronting Daggett. Do you feel in charge moment? He barely talks. All he has to do is put a hand on someone's shoulder and convey the threat. To convey the menace, the sight, the imposing physical stature of his character. And also, I said before, controlled terror. He was able to bring a city to its knees. He scared cops into doing their job. He scared Catwoman into betraying Batman and then trying to go on the run. He scared the military into blowing up a bridge, preventing Joseph Gordon-Levitt from saving children. This man had a methodical plan all the way to his end.
And time. All right, gentlemen, a great game of Battleground through and through, but we are going to go to the final decision. So I'm going to go ahead and send you guys to the back, as I will go ahead and bring in our three judges for this round. With that said, though, Alex, I go to you first. Who gets your vote, and what was the main point that sold you?
I think Chris probably gets my vote. I think he spent the most amount of time speaking about the performance and not just scenes from a movie. I remember the movies just fine. It's the Batman movies. I've seen them. So yeah, for that purpose, I would probably say Chris.
All right. And then, Joe, this is your first time judging a match, so welcome to this side. It's much less stressful, isn't it?
I miss talking.
With that said, though, you have your chance to talk now. Who gets your vote, and what was the main point that sold you?
It was a little bit tough. A lot of the positives that were thrown about were about what the characters do. And a lot of the counters were, this character doesn't do this character doesn't do that. But I think there were more story problems or script problems, not necessarily performance problems. And I think for me, when Ryan spoke about Tom Hardy performing, obviously the vocal stuff had to be redubbed, which was a good point, but about just the expressions on his face and with his eyes behind that mask, I think that's what sold me. So I gave my point to Ryan.
All right, so it is a 1-1, 1 to Chris, 1 to Ryan. JD, I go to you. Who gets your vote, and what was the main point that sold you, as concise as you can get it?
Yeah, my point also goes to Ryan. The point that Joe mentioned was one of the reasons why his physical performance, but then also I think he countered the voice argument very well, saying that that's not really his performance. That's more on Nolan. And he did go back and fix it so you can understand him better. So Ryan's my vote.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for your contributions tonight. I'm going to go ahead and send you guys to the back because your winner by a final score of 2-0-1 is Austin Pez Howell. Coming in with it. Austin, this is your first exhibition. You do come out with the W here. How are you feeling after that performance?
Well, this is, again, I like being in the winner's circle, and despite it being an exhibition, I take it just as seriously as any other Battleground match as I would stepping in to this arena. The thing is, yeah, I may be out of the tournament right now, but I figured I'd do this exhibition and remind everybody just for next season of how dangerous a competitor I am and why you should take me seriously and why you should consider me a threat in this league. So even though it's an exhibition, I wanted to come in and show off what I can do and show off that I have the power to knock people out, to bring the arguments and to do what I do best, which is win. The 1-2 record is a fluke record, though each of those matches were split in all of their votes, and it was they were absolutely tremendous matches. So I just wanted to come in and remind people of that with this exhibition. I think with my win, I proved that.
Absolutely. And your next matchup has been made public at this point. You have been paired up against Papa Jacob West, who also carries a 1-2 record. He is fresh off a knockout victory. So before we send you out of here, what are your thoughts on that matchup?
Well, when you told Papa West. I watched the episode when you told Papa West that he was facing me. I saw the fear in his eyes, and he should be afraid because I'm going to smoke him and I'm going to destroy him, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. The fact that I'm 1-2 pisses me off, and I'm going to get back there and destroy the next person that's in my path. And unfortunately, Papa West, you're in my path right now, so I will destroy you, and I will take all my frustrations out on you and whoever else comes after you. So yeah, and the fact that he had the fear in his eyes, and yet everybody on that peanut gallery panel then predicted that he would win only pisses me off even more. So sorry, Papa West, your little peanut gallery next to you, the people that were just chit chatting and bullshitting, predicting that you were going to smoke me. Sorry, that's just going to make you even more mad. I'm like the Hulk. You just piss me off more and more the more you hurt me. So you know what? You better be ready, Papa West, because I'm going to destroy.
Austin, as always, you are the lighthearted joy that makes Movie Battleground run, sir. Congratulations on your victory tonight. I will send you to the back, and we will see you next time. As I'm going to bring in our next two competitors together to wrap up the show. Chris, Ryan, thank you guys both for being here. I appreciate you guys coming in and being a part of this. Chris, I'll go to you first. What are your overall thoughts on the match?
I know I never had competition with Austin and Ryan. I here to have fun. Good arguing about DC. I don't mind winning or losing. I'm here to have fun. I think getting better as a debater. I am passionate. I only try to think outside the box with my answers now. And if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. It's all about having fun. I'm not having to seriously trying to win every single match like some people. I'm just here to have fun. This is my favorite debate to just talk about, relax, sit back, and just have fun with.
Absolutely. And then Ryan, obviously making your debut here tonight in the new movie Battleground. Thank you for participating with us, sir. What are your thoughts on the match? And would you be interested in coming back in the near future?
Well, to answer the latter question, yes, I would be interested in coming back, either to debate or if you need extra hands-on as a judge. One thing I loved about all of this was just hearing different arguments, always getting to hear people's different opinions on what they interpreted for a film, even if it was from an objective stance or from their personal stances. And also, regarding this match, yeah, I knew going against two other guys, it was going to be difficult defending choices, which is why I mainly focused on just trying to get my points across, build a foundation within my argument, and not strong enough to where it can be broken down, but still make it big enough so it can be as if, let's let the other guys tackle themselves while I'm trying to continue to fill in the gaps. But either way, yeah, I do. Yeah, Austin came into play. I knew from his picks he was going to go hard. He was going to go straight out of the gate. All I cared about was just making sure I made sense when I'm arguing, so I don't constantly have the case of foot in my mouth. And I do love this whole format. I do like doing this. If it ever came down to doing one that was for serious, then trust me, my format, my attitude changes completely. I wouldn't just pick something because I thought, oh, this would be fun and unique. No, I pick it because I 100% believe this choice is either better or something that could be fun. Like a what if, or why is this one better or more important? I would come a lot more. I keep saying that a lot, and I'm coming off kind of dirty saying that.
Well, it's getting late. I will go let you do what you do in your personal time. Chris, Ryan, thank you guys both for being here. And I look forward to the next time I see you guys both as I send you to the back. And guys, with that said, we are done, coming in at half the runtime of the new Batman movie. I hope you guys enjoyed. Shout out to all four of the judges. Alex, Joe, thank you guys for judging for the first time. Kevin, JD, thank you guys for being here with us again. I hope everyone at home enjoyed just the fun little exhibition debate that was taken way too seriously. Let's be real here. But that's what we get when Austin gets spun into the seat, I guess. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to rate the video, comment, subscribe, check out other movie Battleground matches. Be sure to stay tuned in for next week, because we have next Saturday our movie Battleground Blitz event. 2 matches going up, and they are 2 big matches. They are the tournament finals. We have Sean Hunter taking on Henry Sanchez in the 0-1 bracket, and in the 1-0 bracket, our main event, we have Joe Fairley taking on somebody who will be revealed in the match. you're welcome for my personal fuck-ups. Guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the Batman, and we will see you guys next time on the Movie Battleground. Take care.